And welcome to Onesies, a podcast of onesies and wonders and blunders. My name's Andrew.
My name is Emily.
And Danny Masterson is going to prison for 30 years.
To life.
To life? Oh, poor Danny Masterson.
Not eligible for parole until after 30 years. He will be 77 years old. The women who stood up in court and faced him, the three women, he was only found guilty of 2 counts, but all 3 women from that were allowed to give victim impact statements. There was another Scientologist in the room who had molested one of the Jane Does as a child. She made direct eye contact with him and cut him down to size, as far, according to all accounts that I read about their impact statements. The brave fucking women standing up. Hopefully their civil case goes through now that he's sentenced and they can see some justice from monetarily.
Shit, who wrote these letters, actually, when you figure out how residuals work. So, Emily just forwarded me an email.
Yeah.
It's some letters that were obtained on the behalf, written to the judge on the behalf of Danny Masterson before his sentencing. Now, according to your newsletter guy here, Tony Ortega, they knew that she wasn't going to let him off.
Yeah.
But they were trying to get her to go with 15 instead of 30. Mm-hmm. And she went with 30. So
they were trying to get the judge, Judge Almeida, to do not consecutive, but the other one.
Concurrent
sentences. So he was found guilty of 2 counts. Each count would be 15 to life.
She was trying to.
They were trying to get him to do concurrent.
Fuck you all! Yeah. Wow. Okay, so here are the people who really suck this week.
So these are letters on behalf of Danny Masterson to try to get him 15-year sentence. So this is in support of Danny Masterson, accused rapist.
Bijou Phillips,
his wife. Yeah.
Ashton Kutcher, actor. Mila Kunis, Deborah Jo Rupp. Kirkwood Fuck You Smith. Giovanni Ribisi is and has been a piece of shit for years. William Baldwin?
Billy Baldwin is his brother-in-law. Billy Baldwin is his brother-in-law.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Jordan Masterson, one of the other kids in the acting family. Alana Masterson, another one of the kids. Will Masterson. Stephen Mona, retired NYPD Blue lieutenant.
Not NYPD Blue.
No, not NYPD. I'm sorry, NYPD. Who says that Danny Masterson saved him from 9/11 related things.
With touch assist, with Scientology, I'm sure. With a touch assist. I'm sure that's what it was, too. That's ridiculous. Sorry.
Okay. Justin Mooney, writer. Never heard of you. Jim Patterson, writer and creator of The Ranch. Wow. Yeah, you gave him the job knowing this was coming down the line because
and then fired him. And then
fired him. Right, yeah. Sean Pillar, TV producer, piece of shit. Okay, so that is all that they pulled. Who knows who else could be in there? But
those are the ones that are of interest. I'm sure
if you're going to do Ashton Kutcher, you wouldn't have left off Demi. You wouldn't have left off anybody they would have known at that period.
What's the redhead from that 70s show? She was a Scientologist for years.
Prepon did not do that.
But she was arguably involved in the elements of this that are the part from the civil case, the harassment of these women from the Church of Scientology and their goons, i.e. Danny Masterson, Laura Prepon, countless PIs going after them. Anyway, yay! Woo! Okay, now to the episode.
Which is it about white men? It features white men accepting responsibility.
Wow. What a tie-in. Oh, he didn't actually accept any responsibility.
I mean, he admitted that they wanted him to do it, and so he performed it. he was politically correct, which is a big jump for this episode.
Yeah.
Okay. So we start with a drive through the countryside and Alex driving somewhere.
Yeah.
Presumably to school.
Presumably. So my note for this opening scene was it's very formulaic. I wrote late driving coffee spill.
Yes.
Crash. It was very like goofy, very laid out.
Yes.
Just exactly what you would expect something like that to look like.
And he has hit a goat.
Yes.
And it is bleeding, so he is going to take it for medical attention. He also was not paying attention because of his coffee, and there is a tractor trailer or something parked in the middle of the road.
Yeah. No, it's coming toward him. That he later says, well, what am I supposed to do? This tractor was coming toward me and it wasn't moving. I had to veer off the road. I had no choice but to hit the thing, the goat.
We might need to rewatch the opening. I'm not sure I believe his witness statement. Okay.
I'm not rewatching it.
Oh, okay, fine. I don't need you to rewatch it. I need you to do a seed by seed analysis.
I can't even do that.
Okay, credits. Very problematic credits.
Very problematic credits. Very short, though. I didn't skip them, and I watched them this time. It was shorter, I think.
We forgot. Alex gets caught putting the goat in his car by
some farmers who think that he's trying to steal the goat, when in fact he's trying to heal the goat.
Okay. Cut to the stupid thing, the credits, and then we are smack dab in medical school for a lecture and an assignment. This is the first time anybody's had an actual assignment since maybe the pilot.
Yeah, I think so. And there are a couple pop quizzes.
But yeah, this
take-home tests. Sounds realistic.
Take-home test was the second episode, wasn't it? Yeah. But yeah, so their assignment is to diagnose Herbert, a gentleman who is presenting with several contradictory symptoms.
Yes.
The entire regular cast is not in the class. It's just Cheryl, Charlie, and Kathleen.
Mm-hmm.
Alex presumably was on his way to this class. Kim's not.
Kim's year 2, and so is Colin.
And so is Colin.
So they have their own subplots.
Just mouth stuff. Okay. And so Carl Lumley goes through all the problems the guy's having and says, okay, have a good weekend. It's Friday. This is due on Tuesday. And everybody goes, Tuesday. And he's like, Monday.
Make it Monday. Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah. Not a good work-life balance, people. So then Cheryl and Kathleen and Charlie head off together.
Yeah.
And we cut to our only mouth stuff subplot. Kim is on the beach, shirtless. And
as always, beautiful shirtless man.
In whatever that lotion is that Jennifer Lopez uses. It's bad for your skin, but there's something you can use. Like one of the suntan things does this, and this is like a secret. It's J-Lo's secret. He's shining. He is
glistening.
He's glistening.
Yeah.
And Colin walks up and is like, hey man, what are you doing? I want to fucking hang out with you right now. Like,
yeah. He walks a long way.
Yes. Yes.
Like we see him approaching and it feels like a 20-minute scene of him walking to meet Kim.
Yes. And there are some young boys watching the two white men just broke back, basically.
Oh my God. It was so homoerotic.
It is. I'm shipping them.
Yeah.
I mean, they're the best couple so far.
Absolutely. I totally agree.
Because Kim would embarrass there'd be so much embarrassment. Because Kim would just, speak without any id or straight from the id. And Colin would be like, oh my God, Kim, you can't tell everybody that. Yeah, it'd be great.
Yeah.
That's not the show we're going to get. Okay. We then cut to town where Alex is being paraded through town
In
in a chain gang.
handcuffs. Oh my God. Oh.
And he has already found his new black friend for the episode,
Mm.
though he's going to have two.
Mhm.
So this is now Alex's thing, is he gets in trouble and then someone from the island helps him.
Yeah.
A black guy helps him and has to put up with his elitist white guy shit.
Constant. So I my note for this scene is he's complaining the whole time, right? And he says, "Oh, I shouldn't be here. I'm a normal innocent person." And in my mind I wrote normal innocent person equals white.
Yes. Yes, it does.
And I was so disappointed that he's just so entitled and he's an asshole. And throughout the episode, I'm an American, blah, blah, blah. What about habeas corpus? What about this? Blah, blah,
It's
blah,
a
blah,
writ.
It's a writ. It's a writ. And I was so annoyed. I hate this man. I hate this man. I want nothing but bad things for this man because all he does is bitch and he just deserves the worst.
I mean, he is being sexually harassed and manipulated by his professor. He's gonna, not have a great life. Just
it needs to be worse. I don't know.
I agree. I don't disagree. Okay, the episode has a writer credit to Douglas Steinberg, who worked on a bunch of shit. Didn't really do any movies. He did some TV movies. He did a Cagney and Lacey, a Saint Elsewhere.
Is he the one that's married to
He's not married. Yeah, sorry. But he wasn't like an executive producer on any of that shit. He's gone on to he did it like, I think the first season of Psych, it looks like. And then he did Boston Public, which was a show, and Mr. and Mrs. Smith, which was about, wait, is this the fucking movie? What? Oh my God. How has this been a property for so long? Anyway, but he's like old school, he's just a working writer kind of guy. Obviously, him having the credit doesn't mean he wrote the majority. It implies he wrote the majority of the episode.
right?
The negotiations that go on in the writer's room for what credits you get and whether or not Aaron Sorkin's just going to take it from you or Sean Murphy is very complex and probably forgotten to history, certainly for a show like this. Anyway, but the writing is different this episode. It's written like somebody who's watched the show and isn't comfortable going quite as far as they have with certainly not the teachers fucking students or wanting.
Thank goodness that went away. I had a lot of that last episode, and
or wanting to fuck each other, because Colin and Kim sort of replace Roy D giving Wilford Brimley fuck daddy's ass once over.
Yeah, we don't get Wilford Brimley fuck daddy. We don't get Roy D in this episode. Thank goodness.
No June Chadwick either.
We had enough of her. I've had enough of her. I don't know
and
how
she's
many
not mentioned. It's like Alex is just in a comedy subplot that he has no character development. I mean, he has the character development that he's supposed to not be a shitty American, but that's going to be every week.
But considering how hot and heavy he was for that fucking woman last episode, and a little bit in the first episode where it was set up, like there's no mention of her. He's not doing things for her. He's not licking her feet. He's not like working in her backyard, like doing manual labor. Like, you would think that his entire life would be consumed by her based on last episode, because it was. But no, it's very, very fucking weird.
It's just cut off because somebody was like, dude, somebody wants to fuck their mom around here. We're not doing this anymore. No. Okay, so we then cut to the Alex might go to prison for a year. Yeah, because goats are very serious on the island. Pin in that. And then, or he might just have 2 toes taken off because it's an old Islamic law.
Yeah.
So we later hear from Kim about the indigenous people who settled
Mm-hmm.
Jantique, Plantique,
Jantique.
Jantique, and it doesn't seem like they were Islamic. So I don't know what they're saying there. There's
I
something
don't either. And my knowledge of Islam in Africa is
is
not,
limited, but
yeah,
it seems like if it were, this is really shitty, if it were like a historical thing, it would have been exploited commercially by now.
yeah.
So it's just weird. It
And
has
it's and
this,
it's weird because later in the episode we see a bunch of Black people native to the island who are dressed in all white. There's a priest following Alex around
yeah.
doing stuff. There's this group of people in the river who are presumably getting baptized. I mean, it is
The
I,
judge is in the British wig.
yeah.
So it's a British colony. It's still like a British, it's a post-colonial British, but still with the trappings shit.
Yeah.
There's also that weird sort of neo-lib, neocon thing where they're mad at the US for not giving them aid,
Yes.
which is really shitty. Like it's just such a shitty, weird thing. Like, okay, we'll get to that. But so yeah, but there is no Islamic law there. There's no mention of Islam again. So
Yeah.
that could just be Black Friend of the Week fucking with Alex, which
I respect.
should be a thing, right?
Yeah.
Like there should be a scene where one of these guys is like, "Oh, you just smiled at that guy's sister. You're married, or he's gonna fucking kill you." Like,
Yeah.
just to make Alex miserable. Maybe hurt himself during some of his shenanigans. Okay. So then we cut to the school, the library. Cheryl and Kathleen are at the library. Or no, it's just Cheryl.
It's just Cheryl.
They're not working together yet. It's never
Right.
clear. They must have had a scene where they decided not to work together and they cut it because it came off racist. Because there is a scene that we will get to where Joanna Going screams at Cheryl for no apparent reason. But Cheryl's talking to the librarian who's like, "Oh, Dr. Norris likes this kind of disease. We don't have the book, but if you talk to this lady, she knows all about that."
Yeah. The book's not been on order for 6 years. Like we don't have it, but it's been on order forever.
The guy who owns the island fucking goes to the US in his private plane, and fuck granddaddy goes to all sorts of conventions, and neither of them pick up textbooks for the library.
I also find it difficult to believe that even with Roy D and his whatever the backstory is, where he had some patent and he had millions of dollars, I find it difficult to believe that on this island, in this tiny little medical school with 35 students per class or whatever it is, that they can afford a library, but also a library that seemingly has a periodicals department.
Yes, it has a periodicals department, but not a working copier.
And you see, like, there are lots of students using the library. Yeah. That's fantastic. But how do they afford all that shit? That shit is expensive. Medical books?
Yeah.
That's expensive shit. And I find it difficult to believe that Roy D could afford it, even being this wealthy guy with a patent. I don't know.
And the staff is presented as professional. They're not presented as,
Yeah. Disappointed that the island librarian is just a stereotypical
librarian,
older woman, horn-rimmed glasses, cardigan, and not island librarian in a sarong and a bikini, whatever.
There you go. Okay. Well, beach librarians all can't do that. Cut to mouth stuff. Kim and Colin are watering the tree with rum because boats need to be free of evil spirits. This is a meet cute.
If I ever saw one.
They are like, Kim's like, "I saw you in a class last year, didn't I?" Colin's like, "Yeah, you did."
It's so cute. So I wasn't paying any attention to anything that Kim was saying. He's giving a lot of backstory to the island. It's really just setting up that he is really in tune with the local culture, with the people. He's just like this laid back hippie guy. You get a little backstory on him. Maybe that's later. Was not paying any attention, or not close enough to know anything. He is just so like handsome and just like really, really cool and laid back and fun. And it's nice to see that Colin is willing to let his hair down and date somebody like that. I love it.
They're the odd couple, but they're both like blonde white guys. It's adorable. Oh God, what if we actually do get that show? It's not possible. We'd have heard of it.
We would, yeah, I would have known. I would have known.
Yeah, okay.
In doing any amount of research, it would have been obvious.
In a better universe, this leads to Kim naming Colin's freckle patches, but we're not gonna get that. We'll probably get some chemistry-less flirtation between Colin and Kathleen.
Kathleen, yeah.
All right, so Kim's shaping the wood the way it wants to be shaped.
Right.
So at that point, I'm like, well, they're at least going to touch.
I had an uncle who built canoes out of trees, and it was very much the same thing. He wasn't as hippy dippy. He was an engineer, but that was cool. I saw some of his boat canoes or his tree canoes. It was pretty fucking cool.
Yeah.
It's a thing.
It's a thing. It's a I mean, it is a thing. Like carving is a thing. We can't like.
But this is also establishing that Kim is really in touch with nature, man.
And
really
they
into it.
Sort of don't play up the incredible aspect of this is just something we're doing together.
Yeah.
Like this is just something we can do in this place where we are.
Yeah.
If you had wanted to do it well, you could have had all the boys building boats too.
Yeah. And I just realized that this is the first time we've seen Kim have any kind of flirtatious chemistry with anybody. But Kim is the John Corbett of this show. Yeah. He's the Chris of this show. Yeah. And Chris was constantly getting laid.
Yeah.
We've never seen Kim have even
because they don't have room for enough care. Like
he could flirt with anybody, any of the women he's living with, any of the two women he's living with.
The two women he's living with.
He could have casual flings with beautiful native women. Like they did that on Northern Exposure.
Yes. What have we not seen in this show at all?
I don't know.
White boy, black girl, black boy, white girl.
Yeah, interracial. Like,
there's no interracial. ABC was like, hold on now.
Well, except for the last episode, but you said it was like a Pacific Island.
Yes. Oh yeah, you didn't get to that. Yeah, no, she was not.
Yeah. No, I saw it. I mean,
she was not a black woman of color.
Yeah. But they haven't had that. That's right.
They have not had that. They are apparently not going to have that.
Yeah.
Okay. We now cut to the bar or the student union. I don't care. I didn't pay enough attention. Here we're establishing that Charlie, Kathleen, and Cheryl are all working on the project separately. Everything the two women say confuses Charlie, who, God bless him, is doing a terrible, terrible job. Andy Lauer is god awful in this.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm kind of frustrated with him because I feel like he is the weak link, which they're hinting at in the episode. But in terms of the cast, he's sort of the weakest link so far. I mean, Joanna Going's not great either.
She's very bad this episode. We'll get to that in the market. But it's getting worse because we're starting to distinguish stuff. Like Erika Alexander has very little to do this episode. She has a lot of very little to do, and she's very good this episode.
Yeah. I mean, she what you get and what she expresses verbally at the end of the episode is that she's very driven and like competitive.
Yes.
And we're getting that characterization. That is what she's doing
Right.
this episode. It's all character development and not a lot of anything else.
Right.
But she's excellent.
Yeah.
Joanna Going is still
Is
like, I
not.
still
Joanna
don't
Going's
quite
lost.
know what she's doing.
Completely lost.
Yeah.
And this might be the curse, because did I mention that she was like a series killer?
Yeah.
And then similarly, Paula Marshall of this same era. And they're both like brunettes. And maybe there's just something about you add a brunette to the cast in the supporting part.
But what's her name from Northern Exposure was good, even if she's a bad person.
That was also CBS, and that was a different type of ensemble, and she was a regular romantic interest.
That's true.
But in this, Erika Alexander should have the Janine Turner part. Like that in the show.
Oh, yeah.
But she doesn't, because she's black.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Thanks, studios.
Right. So, yes, again, I thought this was a show where she was basically Joel, but no.
I don't know much about network television and whatever, but this series specifically, and you talking about it, has really highlighted that ABC was willing to, how can I put this nicely, take more risks with shows. Because how many ABC shows have I sent you recently that were one season that were absolutely ludicrous looking? That Ellen Burstyn one, I genuinely want to watch. It looks terrible, but I want to watch it.
Megan Mulaney's the daughter.
Megan Mulaney. Elaine Stritch is her mother.
Amazing.
It sounds incredible.
And then the other
Who
one
would make
with
that show?
Milo O'Shea as a superhero creator. What the fuck, man?
ABC.
Okay.
I never realized the difference, and just like that individual people. There are individuals who make these decisions.
Yes. NBC decided it was going to basically be cool. CBS decided it was basically going to be for your grandparents who could deal with a black girl in the regular cast.
Yeah.
Like, Fox decided it was going to be like for dick and fart jokes, like, and teen and teens fucking. Like,
I never realized the difference, so thank you. Watching all of these ABC shows has really been.
Meanwhile, my reaction has been, my next choice is going to be one of the greatest fucking shows ever. So there's that.
That was mine too.
I'm just like, no.
Except I found that Ellen Burstyn one. Oh man, if we could get our hands on that, I would love that. But whatever, we can't.
Both places. We can't yet.
That's fine.
Okay. Okay, but anyway, so this scene is where Cheryl's like, okay, I talked to the lady in periodicals and she gave me a tip. I wasn't sure I was going to tell you guys.
Yeah.
At this point, Joanna Going starts getting angry with her.
Yeah.
But they do not have any pre-existing conflict about this.
No.
So Joanna Going starts screaming at Cheryl at this table while Charlie is in back having a panic attack. And Andrew Lauer's like, my agent, I think I need a new agent. This is not a good choice.
Because he shows up at the end of the scene in the library too.
Yeah, and he
with
like
the copy
bumbles,
machine.
And
he's bumbling. He's falling all over.
Freaking out.
The librarian yells at him like the copy machine's out of order.
He should be Alex. This should be a 3-lead cast.
Yes, agreed.
And the love triangle is Kathleen, Cheryl, Kim, and Colin. That's your love triangle.
Yeah.
And then you've got Charlie, Alex having the regular male cat. He's the Fleischman.
Dude. He's the Fleischman.
No, because in my thing, Erika Alexander's Fleischman.
Oh yeah, okay.
And then he's another Fleischman. He's the Fleischman stand-in, but secretly she's the Fleischman.
Okay.
For the highbrows.
Yeah.
She's the Fleischman. In the season finale review in the New York Times, they're like, they cast a black woman as Fleischman. That's the type of split we've got. There, I just fixed your show from 30 years ago. Okay. But then, yeah, she's yelling at her. And I'm trying to
Yeah.
think, like, what is she yelling at her about? And what it sounds like is that Kathleen is confirming that this guy could have been getting sick because of ginger ale, soda,
Yeah.
not pure ginger root ale.
Yeah.
And there's no reason for this. It's like they're all sitting around and they've just eaten this like thing that's going to give them fucking cancer if they drink ginger ale. And they've just eaten it and they're all like about to pour the ginger ale in their mouth and they're waiting for Cheryl to fucking crack the code and find out whether or not they can do it. And it's dripping down. It's a fucking Mission Impossible torture scene. Like, but no, Kathleen's just screaming at Cheryl.
Yeah.
And then we cut to jail, where Alex is helping this guy, the goat, maybe, or another animal.
He's trying to save the goat.
He's trying to save the goat.
Because he's grasping at straws to try to get out of trouble, right?
Like trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah. It does not appear that anybody asked him to do this, though.
No.
But we also don't
keep in mind in the introduction scene, he was talking out loud about different things he could do to save the goat. So he already had it in his mind. His intention was to save this goat.
And it actually started as a cute episode between Alex and the goat because he was yelling at the goat for giving him advice.
Yeah.
And it's like, this could have humanized this guy.
Yeah.
Instead, they did something entirely different. Which I guess technically humanizes him, but only while dehumanizing black men. Okay, so he's yelling about a writ. They're like, if you bribe him 300J, 3,000J, you can go. We've never heard what the exchange rate is.
Yeah.
His black friend of the episode says he can get him a lawyer, but it's also going to be 3,000J. So what we're getting is Alex going to stand up for himself? Because he says he's not guilty, even though he hit the goat. Now we cut to the wild, where Charlie, Kathleen, and Cheryl are going swimming and talking about the case. So they were like...
They're hiking at first, and the ladies are in their swimsuits. And I was like, this is awkward. But then they hop into the water.
Is really just Charlie's jerk off him. And that's how it ends. It's like St. Elsewhere.
Just like St. Elsewhere.
Just like St. Elsewhere. That's how St. Elsewhere ends. Spoilers! Okay. So somebody needs to go to the source of the White River to test for this parasite. And Charlie's been pissing the ladies off because he hasn't been working hard enough. And they're going to tell him after they've suggested a hike and a swim.
And Kathleen is suggesting that there's something nibbling at her toes in the water.
In the water. It's not a snake. It's not a piranha. Maybe it's a boa. Like, okay. Basically, they send Charlie to the source of the White River.
Yeah.
This is
all very convoluted because they're all using like medical jargon and medical speak, and I'm not a doctor. I don't know if any of this is real. So it's difficult for me to recount, but it's also difficult for me to follow. Like the temperature of the river is important.
I don't think they set any of this stuff up. I just think that's how they're doing it.
Okay.
Is they're cutting the beginning and keeping the end so they don't have to like pay their medical consultant.
Well, they're just doing whatever moves the story forward. Yeah.
Okay. Now we cut back to the boat building where Colin gets his first gay boner around another boy when Kim tells him how his dad was a revolutionary in Chile who got arrested. And his mom waited for dad. And Colin went to live in Miami where he learned shit. Then his dad got out and they sailed the world together for years or something. They sailed around the world together in a boat they probably made together. And mom died 2 days before dad got out of prison.
Yeah.
It is a devastating tale on the level of Casablanca, and Colin is asking for more with bated breath. It is
Yes.
weird.
He loves this story. He's falling in love with this man.
It is
uncharted territory.
It's weirdly cute because this probably is pre-gay baiting, right? Like, gay baiting has since become queer baiting, where the best examples are always it's two female characters who appear to be romantically attracted and involved with one another, but then they just date shitty men the whole series and never address it or whatever. And it's devastating because all the chemistry is between the two people. Okay, but this is before any of that would have been a thing. And yet this is what this scene plays like. I'm just like, they're not doing this, but this is where this should be going. Like, they're quite good. They have chemistry together, whether intentional or not. They're very John Begoya and Oscar Isaac, just with their shirts off.
Yeah.
Is Colin's shirt off by now? I think Colin's shirt's off by now.
Oh, I don't remember.
Colin takes his shirt off and he is a pasty white man.
Yes.
But yes, so in one of the, while they're building the boat, somebody's like, is this straight? And I'm just like, no.
No, this is what like piqued my, like, Kim says, no, Colin says, oh, is this straight? Kim says, yes, how about you?
Yeah.
Which Colin seems to react to the same way I reacted to, which was, what? And then Kim finishes his question, like, tell me about your life, like, essentially. Yeah. But it was this moment of recognition, maybe on the part of the writers, on the part of the actors, on the part of something. So they're really
looking at the network going, see, they just said it was straight.
I was really hoping.
Yeah. Just for him to be like, no, and just make out. Yeah, there you go. Fucking, what's that movie?
Am I going to like going to extremes slash fiction? Is that going to be my new?
I think that's what it is. I think that's basically what it is. Okay. If Charlie and Alex start giving each other massages next episode, we'll know. But yeah, so Kim asks about Colin's family. He's like, yeah, they're just farmers. They suck. Blah. Tell me more about yours. Okay, then we cut to Alex in jail, where Cheryl is bringing him clothes and study books.
Yes.
She seems to be imploring him to
pay. Oh, we skipped the scene where he's. Oh no, you had already said he could pay 3,000.
Yeah, he could pay.
J's.
But yes, so she tells him to pay up and do it. But he's like, it's the principle of the thing. I'm not guilty.
Yeah.
People walk all over Americans, and I need to stand up for myself.
Yes, Americans.
Which Cheryl, played by Erika Alexander, Black woman of the United States of America, says, I think that's noble, ... but you should fucking do something. And he's like, no, I'm going to do it. Man. So she goes away. He's going to work on the parasite aspect of this question for no credit. He takes off his shirt and then changes in front of everybody else in the cell. And we establish that they are all watching his little pasty white ass change his shirt. And it's socially awkward. Okay. So then we cut, and his black friend of the episode has paid his way out, and he's gone now.
He's gone now.
Now we cut to the market, where I have a note that says too convoluted, and I don't know if that's from the show or from me. Cheryl and Kathleen try to talk about how one of them had to tell Charlie he wasn't pulling his weight, and Kathleen would have been meaner about it. So it was good Cheryl did it. And my note ends with fails Bechdel like a mofo, and Joanna Going is terrible in this scene. This
very,
conversation scene. She cannot have a conversation.
Yeah.
Like, which is awkward. You do not want to be in a situation where your interracial buddies can't have a conversation on screen. Okay. We cut to the jail cell. I would like Emily to tell us how Alex says hello to his fellow inmate.
I'm not. I can't do it.
Wow. Okay.
He
Fine.
uses regional
Dialect.
dialect.
Yes, he does. And so he asks his new black friend, who is an older black guy, what he's in for. Guy's like, I ripped off tourists.
I like this guy. Can I tell you? I like this guy.
I like the judge
credited?
too. I'm not sure the judge is good, but I do like her. Okay. So then the Alex has to decide whether or not he's going to say it's terrible to rip off white people. And instead he says, I understand that because economic conditions are being what they are.
Yes.
Because Democrats don't let Republicans sell your government guns.
And as we mentioned earlier, and will be mentioned later in the episode, America refused to give them any aid.
Yes. But Alex doesn't seem like this is not about him acknowledging, figuring out how he feels about that geopolitical situation. Okay, so then he says, what'd you do? And he says, I hit a goat. And
the guy turns away. He's like, man hit a goat? And everybody else in the cell is boo, essentially.
Kill him! Yeah.
Boo.
However, the episode never reconciles that, what's his face? Alex says, I hit a goat. I'm not guilty of hitting a goat. Back and forth.
That's true.
It will mean something else in the trial scene, because it's like somebody was watching the episode and was like, you fucked that up? Fix it by the trial scene, you idiots.
But that's also not what he's actually being accused of.
That's right. But he doesn't know that till the trial. Remember? She has to tell him.
But I thought he did know, and he was just refusing to believe that. I don't know. Whatever. It doesn't matter. It's a dumb TV show that doesn't make any fucking sense.
What? We watched Arsenic and Old Lace last night.
Yeah.
And there's this sequence where Cary Grant, tries to confirm he's not in a dream after finding the first dead body.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just this, it's all light-ish slapstick. It's screwball, but there's more physicality to it because Cary Grant could do that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very exaggerated, and it's like it works. Whereas in this, we never get to really see Alex's reaction to his situation because he's too busy being a shitty white guy to everybody else.
Yeah.
They don't give him any time by himself. So that's what this show, and I feel like Rob Morrow would have gotten time to himself, right? Like your lead gets time to himself. This show doesn't have any leads. Melrose Place didn't do this, though. I mean, yes, they ended up making the black woman an accessory, so she quit, but everybody had their own subplots. They tried, they took a swing for that.
And everybody wasn't in every episode.
Right.
Or if they were, it was in passing. One line and out the door. And I'm going to Malibu or whatever.
When it just became a soap.
Yeah.
But, it didn't start as that. It had to find its feet.
Yeah.
Of being a soap. And this mimicking the young people thing is very weird. The Friends, trying to do the Friends thing, very weird. So then we cut to Charlie in the river. He hears singing. He interrupts a bunch of religious, almost exclusively women.
Yeah. Getting baptized.
Singing while getting baptized.
Yeah. Or presumably they're going to be. They're singing and clapping and praising the Lord and standing in the water. There's a priest. So I just assumed they're wearing all white. And doesn't he bumble and he drops his book in the water? Yeah.
So does this go anywhere? Is there something in the oil the priest is using that is contaminating the river? Does Charlie end up getting baptized? Does he make a new friend? Does he join in the singing?
I don't know.
Does he have a great singing voice? Nope. Skip it. They don't have anything for him to do. There's too many people around for him to have anything to do in a scene. The traditional way you do that class scene is, I think this is in Scream, I think it's in Halloween. Cheryl and Kathleen leave. Charlie runs out and talks to them. The show is cutting any scenes where he has any personality. It's sort of doing that with the other two, but less.
Yeah.
But it's really chopping off all of his stuff. And it's just revealing he's there for, like, he's filler because the show's too big, because we haven't been back to mouth stuff for a while.
Which is why I think that, I mean, like if the thing that was mentioned in the beginning of the series where 8 of you will quit in the first 6 months or whatever, he would be one of the first to go, because he just seems so stressed out and so, I don't know, and unsure of himself, as we find out later. He has some confidence issues as well.
Yeah.
And he doesn't seem to really be liked or like anybody. Like you said, he has no personality.
He has no personality, but also the other students don't exist. Like, we sort of thought we would get at least one other student with a line in an episode. We have not been getting that. They're not willing to pay.
They're willing to gawk at June Chadwick, but they won't pay him to have lines. Okay,
so now we cut to the jail where Alex is bonding with his new black friend.
They're quizzing him out of his book.
And they're talking about the Great Escape. There
are 2 or 3 other men in the cell with him, besides the guy.
Yeah.
The other guy with lines. The guy who robbed some American tourists, which makes me laugh. They're quizzing him on his books. They're talking about the Great Escape, which interesting. A little bit of character bonding
between cultures.
And
the world is not that big.
He discovers that his friend was a nurse in Atlanta, Georgia.
Yes.
Which is surprising.
Yes.
And he's very thrilled. I've been sitting here this whole time with somebody who understands. And then he mentioned something gross.
Yep.
Some body function.
Yep.
And the only time I laughed, even though I saw it coming, like the guy says, I was deported, came back to Jantique. It's like, why would they deport you? You have all of this knowledge and you're a healer and you're helping people, blah, 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 blah. I ripped off some American tourists. I laughed. It was good. Crime is funny until it happens to you.
Not great optics, though.
No, really, not great optics.
Not great optics. Speaking of optics, we cut to Colin and Kim paddling out to the open sea. They're shirtless. They're warm under the sun. They're holding those hard oars at each other in their hands. Are they going out to fuck? No, it's just going to be mouth stuff. Okay, and that's it. Cut to the judge talking about the farmer.
They're celebrating, though. They're holding their oars up. They're wooing. The kids on the shore dancing around, screaming, yelling, waving at them. They're having fun. Because we forgot that those kids were also helping them make the boat. So those kids
don't get any lines.
They don't get any lines, but they are jumping around. They're very excited that they helped create this boat.
For those 2 white boys to fuck in. Just
a little fuck boat.
I should have one of the kids make a hand sign. Just okay. So a much better
I love your sword fight. That was great.
A much better show. Okay. So now we cut to the court. The judge is there. The goat no longer has any interest in
female goats. Yeah.
Female goats. Which is, timed right after this scene. And I'm like, right? It's a metaphor for what happened to Colin when he saw Kim with his shirt off. He no longer had any interest in female goats. And Joanna Going's the goat. It's sexist too. That Andrew McCarthy, Molly Ringwald movie called Fresh Horses from 1988. It's about girls. Girls are horses. You want a fresh one, and you don't want somebody's used one. That's what it's about. Molly Ringwald's a used horse.
I'm a used horse. All right.
Well, there you go. I continuously have to get that off my chest because that is a real thing.
Because nobody cares except for you, and people should care.
It was well reviewed. It was well reviewed in 1988, It was well reviewed as a stage play starring Craig Schiffer and Susie Amos. It was well reviewed. They were like, she's a fucking used horse. It's about how old boy needs to get himself a new horse. That was what the critics were saying.
What was this movie called? Used Horses?
No, Fresh Horses.
Fresh Horses.
It's 1988, though, as we've proven on this show, that wasn't very long ago, or that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Okay. So Black friend number one shows up with a lawyer whose name is Apricot Thomas.
Yes.
And that really makes Alex uncomfortable.
After a scene, which I feel like the writers probably thought was really clever, where the judge keeps asking Alex, you don't know your lawyer's name?
Yeah.
He's top notch, but you don't know his name.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And then I'm sure the writers thought this was perfectly clever, that we're going to give the lawyer a goofy name.
Yeah.
It's not quite a toast name, because it should have been like Apricot Jones or
right, but
something, but whatever. We're not living in toast world. We're living in going to extremes world.
So this is where we find out that it's about the stealing the goat, not hitting the goat.
Mm-hmm.
And Alex yells at the judge.
Mm-hmm.
The judge then informs him.
The judge is also acting as both the judge and the prosecuting attorney.
Yes. And then Alex says, look, I was trying to save the fucking goat. It was bleeding. I was putting it in my car to take it somewhere to save it.
Yeah.
The judge interrogates him about where he would take it. And it's like, he'd take it to the fucking clinic or the medical school.
Yeah.
Like, this is a dumb question. He is a medical student. He's not a con man in town.
Yeah.
Or something.
Yeah. He's not some kind of charlatan.
Right. And then he's like, why are you being so mean to me? And the judge says, the U.S. reduced aid by 80%. And so we're going to take it out on you. And then we cut to a commercial.
Yeah.
And lunch first, because the judge is going to go have lunch.
Yeah. Ooh, I need to have lunch.
Yeah. So we then cut back to court. Alex is talking to the sheriff or the law enforcement official who he refused to bribe earlier, and says, I've seen enough courtroom dramas to know what's going on. And the guy's like, look, man. Or no, Alex forces this guy into a conversation by asking him questions where he's like, what should I do? What should I do? What do you think I should do? What do you think I should do? And the guy's like, just, man, be humble. This is not your country.
This is not your country is the last thing I have written. And it was like this dumb aha moment for Alex.
And it goes even further than that when Alex is like, and I don't even have this written down, but it actually like stuck in the head, because this is what should have been in the fucking end of the pilot. He goes, what do you want me to do? He's like, he's like, what do you mean? What do I want you to do? I don't care what you do. What I want is to live in a place where my kids have clean water and education.
Yeah.
And so it's problematic, but it also acknowledges that Alex is not the protagonist in this guy's fucking story. Like, what's up, dude?
Yeah.
And so Alex seems to take it to heart as much as we've ever seen him take anything to heart, because we haven't seen a candle wax scene yet with his teacher, who he calls mom. Okay. We cut back to class where Carl Lumley's telling everybody that they got their papers wrong. Also, those librarians, they're on his payroll. So they're going to fucking screw all you up.
Yeah.
Which is a weird thing to do, because it means the book's not there and they're being told there is an expert in the subject area that they can get information from for other resources. And he wants them to be deceived in doing that. So
they're spreading disinformation
and not learning, because the correct answer was Charlie's, which was, I don't know. And
I don't have enough information to correctly diagnose this situation. Yeah.
And Carl Lumley says, and that was the answer.
And Dr. Norris is reinforcing this, and there are these cutaway scenes to Charlie looking absolutely humiliated, even though Dr. Norris is saying he's absolutely right. The lesson that you are learning from this is that if you don't have all of the information, you're going to misdiagnose somebody and put their lives at risk, potentially.
And first, do no harm.
And first, do no harm. So the whole lesson in this, and Cheryl's like, oh God, I was just so competitive and I just wanted to win. Just wanted to be right. I just wanted to win. And Kathleen, I forget what Kathleen's excuse was, because she has no personality. I don't even think
she gets a line for it.
Yeah.
I actually don't think.
But Charlie is very clearly humiliated. So he still doesn't get something. There's something that he's not getting. He was right, but he's still being humiliated, he feels like, by Dr. Norris. This was confusing to me, because I don't know if it immediately cuts to that. Does it immediately cut? Okay. We can talk about that in a minute then.
Okay. So we then cut to the court where Alex is convicted and then makes a plea to the judge, apologizing for being stubborn and hoping they can do something to get this situation resolved in a different way without losing his toes. Judge is like, well, okay. Farmer, do you want anything off him that'll make up for the goat? Farmer goes over, looks Alex over. Alex covers up his watch, but then he uncovers it, and the farmer just takes his belt. We then cut to the boat where
our lovers are fighting a little, their first tiff.
Throwing up.
Oh, yeah, Colin is sick.
Something didn't agree with him. And so he's thrown up, first time. And so then they realize that the boat was fucked up in the making and it's out of balance. And
they do a little weird thing where they get up and swap seats.
Kim's blaming it on him. He made it too thin. And then Colin smacks the bottom of the boat and it starts
leaking.
And he's like,
Kim goes on about how, like, I just wanted to do this one thing.
Yeah. Kim has like a panic attack.
Yeah.
It's weird. And then Colin jumps in the water and playfully swims and says, it's a metaphysical boat, dude. Like, we made a boat together. We did mouth stuff. Now we're going to swim into shore.
And Kim jumps out after him, and there's a little splashy, kissy. There's no kissing. I wish. There's a little splashy. It was so cute. Oh.
Yeah. It's like Kim seems like he's really he's a hippie, but really he does get anxious sometimes. And Colin is enough of a level head to bring him down to earth. They are, and I
want to watch this show.
Right?
I desperately want to watch this show. They've been married for 30 years. They put a kid through college.
They can do a sequel. We can recast
put a kid through college. They brunch in West Hollywood every Saturday. Oh my God.
It's like it's a not shitty curb.
Yeah.
It can be a not shitty curb.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We cut to Charlie and Norris. Charlie comes in, says, why'd you embarrass me just because I didn't know what to do? And he's like, I didn't embarrass you, you fucking moron.
Yeah.
That was the right answer. He's like, why are you embarrassing me now by telling me it's the right answer? And he's like, I'm telling you it's the right answer.
Yeah.
He's like, all I did was know that I didn't know enough to know. And Carl Lumley goes, many would say that's the first step toward wisdom.
Yeah.
And then he's like, the lesson was to learn to admit when you don't know enough and to not act on incomplete information.
Like he's essentially just rephrasing what he said in front of the class.
Yes. Now, Carl Lumley has had come to Jesus moments with Colin, Charlie, anybody else? Did he and Cheryl ever even have a scene together?
I think last episode they did with Denise, just a brief exchange, but I could be confusing it.
But not like a classroom education, not an inspiring.
I think it was in the clinic. No, it wasn't anything
Clinic
inspiring.
doesn't clinic is an office visit. Office visit is inspiring. So yeah, so we still haven't figured out who the protege is.
Yeah.
And if it's Charlie, we're not laying great groundwork.
No.
So it ends with Carl Lumley going, dude, Einstein flunked math, and Charlie going, what does that mean? It's like he can't play it stupid enough.
Yeah.
It's like if this were remade as a problematic movie in 2007, Charlie would be the perfect role for Sean William Scott, Stifler from American Pie, and the guy in Role Model. Role Models has some problematic jokes, everyone, but it also is amazing. But yeah, so he would be really good at this because he can do really dumb, but also scale in some charm. Charlie doesn't have any charm, and he also isn't good enough to play the dumb. Like,
again, it just kind of comes off as like, I don't know. Like,
and this hasn't been his arc. He doesn't have an arc to finish this episode. Charlie got his arc last scene. It had nothing he did mattered until then, which is the point of the assignment.
Yeah.
Carl Lumley gave everybody assignment that was like, I don't know. First, do no harm. I don't know. First, do no harm. I don't know. They should have gotten it by the end of class if they'd been up on their medical ethics or whatever. They weren't, because they're going fucking skinny dipping and they're going out and doing mouth stuff.
And they're going climbing waterfalls to.
They go chasing waterfalls. They don't stick to the valleys and rivers that they're used to. They should be putting some fucking thought into class.
Yeah.
And they're not. And Carl Lumley's just a bad teacher. They're all bad teachers.
Yeah.
Okay, but anyway, so then we come to the beach because we're closing out on the beach. And Kim has brought a date. For the first time ever, Colin joins the beach. And they do the single stupidest thing I have ever seen.
I don't really even know what they were doing.
They are trying to communicate to UFOs a la Close Encounters of the Third Kind, but they don't have the rights to the music. So they did a they dun 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 dun. They don't even do the last two. It's the stupidest thing I've ever seen.
It's so stupid. I didn't even understand what it was.
It has no context.
Nope.
It does not fit the personality of anyone.
Mm-mm.
Because we don't know what Colin has been doing. It's implied that he's been cooking something because they're eating goat, which upsets Alex.
Mm-hmm.
And then they do the Close Encounters circle, which is not a thing from the movie. And they have candles out.
It was just really weird.
Were you guys?
And then at the end, after they sing the song for the second time, they all start giggling.
Okay.
It was so weird.
What if this was written to be a porn series and they were going to have an orgy at the end? That would make more sense than what happened. Because you don't make a Close Encounters of who are you making that reference to? You're making that reference to me, but I think it's terrible and I would stop watching the show if I'd gotten it. If I hadn't seen Close Encounters yet as a kid, so I wouldn't have gotten the reference.
Yeah.
You know, if you're born, Close Encounters was 77.
I think so.
Yeah, with like a re-release in 80. But that's a really weird window that you're going to lose out on the very tail end of Gen X. So you don't have an audience for this. It's film nerds.
Yeah.
Do you think a film nerd is watching this show? It's 1992, man. Like, we're pre-Miramax here. The world is everyone's oyster. We are about to hit the big time, except it's going to go all wrong, but we are about to hit like...
Well, remember, though, at this time, David Lynch has got Twin Peaks on TV. Northern Exposure's kind of playing a little bit with the cinematic stuff. So maybe this is just their attempt to elevate the episode to the higher class of people.
They're trying to meme? Or are they
Maybe.
They're trying to meme to film Twitter?
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, that's their competition, though.
Well, no, because Twin Peaks is gone by
Well,
now. And
is it?
Northern Exposure, it's not airing opposite Northern Exposure.
That's true.
So, yeah, Twin Peaks is gone by 92.
Yeah, because
Right?
Fire Walk with Me came out in
Yeah.
92. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it was all over by now.
Yeah.
He might have had that Nightmare Cafe on, but I thought that was 91. Anyway, so yeah, the Twin Peaks Revolution is simmered down a bit. But also this like direct referencing of a movie is also very weird.
But Northern Exposure did that a little bit too. But in a larger context, and it was like a thread throughout the whole episode. And it was maybe a little hacky, but they did that. They did a whole episode that was like Kafka-esque, like
Right.
they did this sort of deeper, more intellectual stuff.
This makes sense if it opens with them the night before watching Close Encounters.
Yeah.
Or something.
Yeah.
Like, and then
Kim kind of sprinkles into the conversation something about how his dad was obsessed with UFOs or something. I don't know.
Yeah. There's some weird thing. Or Colin, and he's embarrassed. Like, to tell the story that they think that they're implying they're telling, the episode needs to be probably 15 minutes longer, which sounds because I thought this was the best episode in terms of not having anything overly problematic, having cute gay baiting, and Erika Alexander was good.
Yeah. And I didn't like, I'm a pessimist. So I didn't like the episode because Charlie and Alex just annoyed the shit out of me the whole time.
Yes. I mean,
so
we still
like,
have
the positive stuff
to go. Well,
the positive stuff was sort of not as impactful because those other two characters, and Alex had such a big subplot. I mean, he had a whole subplot to himself.
Yeah.
That it just was it. Ugh.
Low bar.
But I loved the gay baiting. That was my favorite. That was my favorite thing. It was like, so cute. They were so cute.
They're so cute.
Whatever. Anyway, I'm hoping that Charlie, what I'm hoping is that this kicks Charlie's ass, and he's like, he either shits or gets off the pot, right? He's either like, okay, I did this assignment really well. I know what I'm doing. I have this confidence. I can do this. What I'm guessing is that this is just the first step to him.
Oh, you think it's a step?
See, I think it's a baby step. I think that's more realistic for the show.
Oh, no. I think that he and Alex are just going to reset and have the same thing every episode.
Oh, I didn't even consider that.
Yeah. Sorry. Because at this point, Northern Exposure had been on 3 seasons.
Yeah, I think so.
So going to extremes, ABC was like, we can run this for 4 seasons. 4 seasons. 4 of them. It's going to be great, everybody. We don't have to. I'd love to know how long the contracts for these actors were.
Oh.
That's some fucking trivia. Okay. What's next?
What's next? Next week on Going to Extremes, Send in the Gloves. Episode 5 aired September 29th, 1992. We are approaching that time. We are approaching the 31st anniversary of this episode.
Oh, man. Isn't it cool to be old? Did I already tell the story of when you mentioned how old I was? I believe we were talking about American auteur Edward Bartholomew Burns. And you were like Ed Burns? I'm like, yeah. Brothers McMullen's good. And you're like, when's the last time you saw that? And I was like thinking about it. I was like, oh my God. You were like, I guess you know what it's like to be old now, huh? Or something like that.
Hey, I've had my moments. I've had my comeuppance.
Well, that was only 13 years, I remember. So now we're really...
I've had my comeuppance.
Years.
I had some incidents with some younger people, and my back is still aching from thinking about how old I am. So yeah, next week. Go ahead.
They're getting rid of the lightning port, presumably next week on the new iPhones. Don't harump. This is all I want in my life right now, is not to have fucking lightning cables around. But I was listening on one of my podcasts, and they were doing a, post-mortem on the lightning connector, so an exit interview for it, I think they called it. They did call it, but anyway. And they were talking about the original pin connector.
Yeah.
And they were like, there's a good chance we have listeners who don't know what that is. And that has only been around for 24 years. Yeah. You are 24 years in from the iPod.
Wow, I'm only 20 years old.
Have you ever heard someone say that, a man say that to a woman in a professional setting? Because I have.
No, I haven't.
Yeah,
Wow.
you have. It was cool.
Wow.
Guys suck. And Danny Masterson's in prison for 30
Yay!
years. Yay! What's the episode? Sorry.
Next episode, Send in the Gloves, episode 5. Kathleen and Colin are tried by fire when they must assist doctors Norris and Croft in emergency surgery. I hope we don't see any gore. Meanwhile, problems arise for Alex and Cheryl when they buy a water heater, huh? No mention of Charlie. I'm sure he'll be running around reading books, screaming about how dumb he is. Maybe he's a savant. We haven't seen him do anything except for study. We haven't seen him in the field. We haven't seen him at the
I'm hoping he's a savant. We'll see, but that's asking a lot from
That's asking a lot. I know.
Also, when you said we're going to see them assisting on a, surgery, I was like, oh, is it going to be one of those episodes where it's just the surgery? Like every medical show has this. ER probably had 3 a season by the end. MASH sort of infamously did it, I think. It's it's dramatic. This is high tension. This is high drama.
Yeah, high stakes.
Drama. High stakes.
Yeah.
You are invested in this person surviving and, all these things. You don't give it a subplot about a water heater. the swing is that your whole episode is this.
Yeah.
It is not. It is your A plot, and your B plot is your stupid fucking fish out of water thing. Oh, Erika Alexander might have to co-sign on Alex's racism. Cool. Can't wait for the two of them to go out into the community together. Okay. Well, on that terrifying note.
Great. So I'm gonna throw this in, and I'll edit it out if I have to. We might be taking a break next week, or we might get it in at the last minute. Who knows? So we will be back.
Said to Kim. Colin said to Kim.
We will be back next time for Send in the Gloves, episode 5 of Going to Extremes. Andrew, see you in Television Land.
See you in Television Land, Emily.